better. I like to talk baseball, so I will be around. But the story about him throwing me the science of hitting is actually a really cool story. And I give that book to everybody I can. That book, I'm telling you, that book, the science of hitting, think about it. The science of hitting before analytics, that don't make sense. That's a book that should be written now. And if you read that book, every single bit of it holds true till today. Right now, it's the best hitting book, and there's a million books out there now. It's still the best one I've read. And I actually had a chance to talk with Ted Williams. But that night, I remember that night, I just got moved to high A ball. I was 20 years old, 19, 20 years old. And I swung at a bad pitch and cost us a game. And my hitting coach, Rick Down, was in town. He came, he goes, "You're not moving beyond this point. You're staying right here in A ball until you figure out how to swing a strike and you do this." And I was really shook up, man, because I was like, it bothered me. And I was hitting like 360. It's like a week into the season. I thought I was doing good, but evidently I wasn't. He comes in right after the guy left. He took off. He was a roving hitting coach, so he took off, went to the next town. And he takes that book, he flips it over at me, he goes, "I don't know anything about hitting." This guy did. And threw me the book. And I pick up the book. And remember, I mean, all I could do at this point, my talents were I could hit a ball, I had a really good bat speed, I hit a ball a long ways, and I could hit what most I swung at. So my goal, my approach, if you would call it, was to pick something out, the farthest thing I thought I could hit, and try to hit it. I mean, that's basically my goal up to about 20 years old. I want to see how far I was going to hit the next pitch. He throws me this book, and I'm reading this book, and it started talking about hunting, breaking balls, two-strike hitting, and getting on top of the fastball, and getting a good pitch, and maybe taking a pitch. I'm like, holy smokes. I didn't put that book down. I swear, I read that book that night until daylight the next morning. I was like, you mean there's something other than hitting and try to hit the ball as farther as you can every time? And it's what turned me on to it. It's what made me a great hitter. I appreciate that. So if you guys want to give something, you guys want to help your kids, man, that book, or read it yourself. Amazing if you have it. So anyway, Koch said I could help you guys, and I thought, yeah, man, how can I help you guys? And to me, I know where you guys are at. I coach, my boys coming all through, and I know one thing that I've learned through all the years is, man, we've got so much information out there, and it's so easy to go on YouTube or go on Fangraphs and get all these stats and X, velos. How do we all implement it, And it's just gotten so out of hand that it's just, I can give you this, okay? And you'll understand how out of hand it's gotten. I'm in the big leagues. I didn't do it last year, but did it 2 years before that. I'm preparing a talk on two-strike hitting because our team is 27th in the league in strikeouts. It's really bad on the bad end of it. And we got a ton of bat speed, Toronto Blue Jays, ton of bat speed, strike out too much. That usually doesn't work, right? Ball and play, everybody tell you strikeouts okay. You tell me the OPS, the WRC, all them fancy designer stats on a swing and miss. It's 0. So I'm just going to talk 2 strikes. I got this young kid with a computer right out of college, smart kid, great kid, loved him. He'd follow me around. I'm preparing this speech, and he goes, "So, Dante, 2-strike hit?" He goes, "Listen," he goes, "the ball that does the most damage off the bat in baseball is the pool baseball at 27-degree launch angle at 104 miles an hour." And I said, and for a second, he set it up. The smart guys, man, that get you. If you let them talk too long, make you start believing them. And he said it, and I'm sitting there going, "Damn, that makes a lot of sense." And in my mind, I said, "Come on, now, get out of it. You played freaking 20 years, man, professionally." And I said, "Okay, all right. I get it. You know what? It makes a lot of sense. All right? Let me put it back at you." And I said, "Take a tennis player. What's the most devastating shot in tennis? The forehand. So if I take a tennis player and say, hey, just work on your forehand. Just hit that forehand, man. Hit the forehand. What's going to happen? Well, pretty soon they're going to hit it to his backhand, aren't they? And he's not going to be able to do nothing. Then he's done, right? So hitting's the same way. Once you develop that beautiful swing and that launch angle, hitters don't hit homers, pitchers throw them. If you just say, hey, you hit the ball hard, when he throws you that ball that can get out of the yard, you hit it out of the yard. But if all you're
you're trying to do is hit that ball out of the yard. Then all of a sudden the slider on the back, on the low and away gets rolled to shortstop. You know, the high fastball gets swung under, fouled off. You know, now we're hit with 2 strikes and we don't know how to make an adjustment. We're still trying to get homer, and then we're abused. That's how it goes. So anyway, as my time of raising my kids, I dealt with a lot of scouts. And when you raise 2 boys that are going to play professionally, they're on teams that almost everybody on the team is going to play college or professionally. So you get a lot of them working with a lot of kids. And I've kind of narrowed down what I really think is important. The simplicity of what is important to this game. And to hit it. And scouts used to ask me all the time, what's the most important thing you think you hit? What are your top 3 things to hit? And everybody asked me a different way. And it would catch me by surprise that I'd never really written down what I thought, you know? And then I said, you know what, let me just really think on what I believe. And the first 2 things are really easy. Same thing is important for a hitter is the exact same thing that's important for a pitcher. What's important for a pitcher? Velo. Velo's a big one. I mean, you mentioned velo to Koch and he starts hyperventilating. Well, how far through is going 98, Koch? I'm going to go watch him, right? Well, the hitter, when you mentioned bat speed to a scout, they're gone. That's number 1. That plays at the highest level if we can figure that out. And there are ways to increase that. I'll get to it. And then the number 2 thing, now you got velo. Command. You mentioned that ball accuracy. If a pitcher can throw a ball where he wants, and he's got velo, now we're a high pick. Send that over to a hitter. If a hitter can swing the bat quick and he can swing the bat accurately, we got a high pick. You know? So those 2 things were easy. You ask any scout, they're probably up there very high on the list. And then the third thing's a little bit tougher. I'm going to get to that a little bit. The third thing, man, you get a lot of, I'm going to get to that later. But let's go to bat speed, okay? And I'll tell you, bat speed is a tricky one because how do you increase bat speed? Here's what people don't understand about bat speed, okay? If I were to tell you a fastball, a guy throws 92 to 93, in the big league, is that average now, Coach? 92, 93? So what's a plus fastball? 94? 95? Okay, and then what's a plus? 97?
That's a reliever.
And then what's the 80? 100? 97, 98, then 100? Okay, so what were the increments there? 2 miles an hour? 3 at most? So if you put a ball on a tee and you give a wood bat, elite player, big time power hitter, put a ball on a tee with a wood bat and tell him, give me your best exit speed, it'd be right at about 100 miles an hour. Some guys will go over that because they're freaks. The average won't get near it. But your elites will get there. You give it a big time elite pitcher, a fastball, say give me your best velo, be right at 100. So if you take that over to a hitter, then we're saying 2 miles an hour exit speed puts you on a different level. As an exit speed with a bat, that's not a lot to get to. That's something we're trying to get to. So how do we get there? Well, the easy one is we get stronger and bigger, and your kids will do that. You'll see them year to year grow 5 to 7 miles an hour exit speed with their fastball and their exit velo. So strength training is a big one. Repetition is a big one. You tend to get stronger the more you do things. Is there more than that? Oh, then there's mechanics. Here's the one where you got to be careful with. And I'm not going there unless you ask me. Okay? Because mechanics, here's what I can tell you about mechanics. I try to stay away from it. At my level, I tried to stay away. People don't believe this. I tried to stay away from mechanics with Bo. And then you look at it and you say, yeah, you didn't, because nobody would teach that swing out of high school. All right? I remember he changed how, you see hitters like that now come out of American high school. You just see, they used to only come from the Latin countries. All right? Bo was one of the first guys to wind up and swing. All right? Now you see high school kids come out of America swinging it with a leg kick and some movement, dynamics, right? And we understand bat speed is a big one, man. Why wouldn't you? Be careful shortening swings, because you hear it all the time. Shorten your swing. Think of this as golf. If I'm hitting my driver, wham! You ever seen a long drive contest? Go Google that. Watch the dynamic, the inward turn and the movement. Then all of a sudden we hit that iron. It's not quite as big. Then we chip a little shorter. And then we're putting. We're right there. Not much club head speed. Be careful that you don't shorten your mechanics to the point where you're taking away talent. That's all I'm going to say about bat speed. Be careful you don't shorten up. Don't try to hit a homer. I'll tell you something else about a high school team I coached about hitting a homer later. But be careful you don't shorten swings up to the point of incompetence and you're killing the kid. Okay? That's why I don't like mechanics. I tell dads who come to me all the time, how do you do this and that? I said, you know, by the time you get them in high school, you realize that they're overcoached, man. You butt heads with them at this point because they know how to swing a bat. They're paying $70 3 times a week. They figured this out, and somebody's teaching them most of the time to take that perfect swing on that perfect pitch. But that ain't real life in hitting. Because when you see that slider low and away, all of a sudden that perfect swing don't work, right? Now all of a sudden, I got to get disconnected. I got to get out of my legs. I got to put that ball in play. And good hitters know how to do that. But if you teach mechanics and pigeonhole a kid into one swing, don't expect him to handle a lot of pitches. Okay? Let him be athletic. I tell dads all the time, do you have swings as a kid at 5 years old before you took him to 15 different hit codes? Because that's the swing he wants to use. That's his natural body mechanics. Give me the swing of a little 5-year-old when you told him if I went into the hood right now and got the best athlete in there, you know what was good? And I said, hey kid, you never played ball in his life? And say, hey, I want you to see how hard you can hit this baseball. I bet you he would pick his leg up, drop his hands like every Hall of Famer, and just, wow! I bet you that's what he'd do naturally. We take that all away from him. Be careful. Yes, guys can be strong enough. Even Judge, it's a little something going. Some guys are so strong they get away with Superman can probably do whatever he wants. He can probably do the bunt thing and hit home. We're not all like that. Especially little guy. My guy wasn't big. I know I'm big. Bo's not a big kid. He had to be dynamic to hit the ball. So be careful. You don't coach him out of talent. Here's a great drill I would tell you for bat speed. Think about bat speed. Think about bat speed like you would a 40-yard dash. If you ever took one of your kids, or if you've ever had a kid, if you've ever trained for a 40-yard dash, say a combine for college, what do they work on? First 5 yards. That's it. That's all they work on. Sometimes they don't even run 40 yards. They work on 4, 5, 10 yards. Getting out of the blocks. That's where everybody loses. Same thing in hitting, man. There to there. There to there. You want the holy grail in hitting? It's called opposite field power. That is the holy grail. Anybody, you watch any big league batting practice, every one of them can go on that upper tank to the pool side. The big boys go on the upper tank to the opposite field. The big boys, the boys that are mid-30 or 40. How do you do that? How do you do that? And I will tell you this, a judge this year said something really cool. He said, you become a hitter when you take the inside pitch and go dead center, right center. Oh man. Because why? Because you've let it come back here. You can't let that pitch, and you can't hit that pitch out front and drive it out there. So you're real limited to where you can hit with power. The guy that can hit power back here can get fooled and hit. You know, you can't pitch to him. No longer can he. If you take an inside pitch the other way, all of a sudden, there's 2 pitches in baseball. There's 2 locations in baseball. And I don't mean to get off track. I'm going to get back. There's 2 pitches in baseball. There's a fastball up and in. There's everything else. If you are looking for the average person, if you are looking to get the fastball up and in, if you're looking to get to it, you're not hitting anything else. Not at the high levels. Okay? If you are looking for everything else, you're not hitting up and in. Then one sets up the other. Okay? As far as location. So when you can take the inside pitch and not have to get to it, you can still stay on sliders a little bit longer. You can still open. And that's a beautiful thing. That's the Holy Grail. That's it. That's it. Okay. So what did I say? The first 5 yards. How do you do that? If I were to set up a tee, and this is what I did with Bo, and he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know what he was doing. Now you look at him, and he's 180 pounds with big obstacle power. How'd that happen? I set the ball deep and up and in. And when he got there, most people teach this really, no body movement, real simple, real short. Bo had to do this. Why did he do that? Think about it. You're not creating enough space to hit the ball the other way when you go. You can't do it. There's not enough runway.
Can't speed up.
When you do this and we're turned, see how much runway I created? Wham! Now all of a sudden, I create back speed way back here. Holy shit. You know what? I'm sorry. Oh, that's like moving that pitcher back. What if we could do that? You know how much a foot is a fastball? Anybody know that, Koch? You got to know that. It's about 2 miles an hour. Did I take 4 miles an hour off that guy's fastball because I can drive the ball back here? I sure enough did. Okay? That's why obstacle power is the Holy Grail. That's what we have. Yes, balls are hit harder to left field, young man. But if you can hit them harder to right field, you're a better hitter. Yes, batting averages went down from 270 to 230 because we're trying to pull, lift, and launch everything. Lift and launch everything is done mostly out front. Exit speeds are done mostly out front. Okay? Yes, they're a beautiful thing. And with 2 strikes, without 2 strikes, go ahead, take a shot. But with 2 strikes, guys, OPSs are 0 when you swing and miss. They are not productive. Just my thoughts. Okay. Best drill. So what's the best drill? Flip it up and in.